Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to Role Playing 101, where my co-host and I like to reflect on games we've played in, pettiness we've witnessed, and arguments over semantics that have wound up killing games. So, let's get right to it, shall we? Let's see, we've been putting together a list this week, and it's not super long, but we've still got a ton of things, to touch on that we've touched on before. This first one, though, I feel like I've mentioned this as communication, but it's the difference between outrageous expectations and realistic expectations in a role-playing game. Example, expecting another player or the GM to know exactly what you want and how you feel, and becoming angry when things do not cater to these unspoken wants. This is an outrageous expectation. It's the same as a significant other expecting you to read their mind and know when they're upset when they've done their utmost to hide it from you. That's no one's fault but your own. A realistic expectation would be, I better make sure and be clear about what I want and expect from this game so the GM and players can let me know if I'm in the right place. That's much better. Now we've acknowledged that the burden is on the new player to make certain that the people around them know what they're there for, so there's no confusion or inability to meet the expectations. To become angry and lash out at the other players or the GMs themselves only makes you look childish and undesirable as a player. We'll simply remove you and block you so you can't join our games again, because we don't want to deal with that. That's it's childish behavior that we see a lot, and there's a lot of childish behavior, honestly, but this is just, having unrealistic expectations is just weird to me, to expect the GM to know exactly what you want from the plot, especially when you want something so specific. We don't know those things. We can't read your mind. We can certainly ask you, where do you want the plot to go? But if you don't tell us, if you just give us a vague idea and you don't actually tell us, specifically what it is you want, then we can't give it to you. And then if you get frustrated at us, then we're just going to get frustrated at you, because that's sort of a ridiculous situation. You should have been able to tell me what you actually wanted instead of expecting me to be able to guess from your vague speech. So it's, again, communication, being clear. You have to communicate to the GM and the players what you're there for. This is why sometimes I'll join games and I will leave within 5 minutes of joining it, because I'll pop in there, I'll start asking questions, I'll start asking the players and the GM's questions, and depending on their answers, if I don't get the answers I'm looking for, or it just seems like they don't understand what I'm saying, it's a problem. Yeah, alright, you want to earn enough gold to buy a house and have a party of powerful slaves to adventure with you. Alright, that's cool. No, I get it. That's, that's a good goal. And that's nice and clear. That's nice and clear. I can totally do that, in any game scenario. But you need to be able to tell me that stuff. If you don't tell me that stuff, you just tell me, I just want to have lots of gold and become really powerful, and you don't really actually, clarify the rest of the stuff, then all I can do is hopefully provide you. Yeah, and when you're a low-level adventurer, that doesn't usually work out. If you're joining a game where it's a level 1, no, you're not going to have enough money to do any of that crap. That doesn't make any sense, okay? I was thinking freeform, where you just write your character the way that you want, but yeah, in a tabletop scenario, that doesn't work. Yeah, you cannot just do that, and it's very funny when people make level 1 characters, and they opt to. They choose to make a level 1 character. They have the choice to make other characters. They choose to make a level 1, and then they're upset that they're underpowered. So that boggles my mind a little bit. I'm always confused. Well, I didn't think I was going to be so powerless at level 1. You didn't? You didn't. Do you not know how numbers work? It goes up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the levels go up. You start at 1. Yeah, I don't know why you're expecting to be this badass adventurer at level 1. That's very, very hilarious to me. But that happens a lot. We see it a lot. That is a thing. And again, them complaining that they're not as powerful as they should be. It's you're level 1. You're level 1. All right. Give it a minute. The character you're trying to explain to me should be at level 15, So, some of these people, I think they're going to bring a level 15 into a level 1 game. Certain limitations exist, they do. you know. Well, and plus we don't trust people right away, you know, when they join our games. That's a thing with freeform. Like, you have to earn our trust in order for us to be willing to give you things like that in game, where it's, you know, a large stroke or it's a massive, like, plot arc. Yeah, I don't know why people think they can just do that stuff. Yeah, you don't exactly. You don't get to start at a high level until you've proven yourself that you can roleplay it with respect and courtesy, because that's a problem. Because back in the day, and I'm sure this is still a problem, I just don't hang out in places where random roleplay goes on, like in chat rooms and stuff back in the day. But I know when I did, there was lots of instances where people would start these high level characters and then just ruin the roleplay for everyone, because they're just there to power play. They're just there to power play and be stronger than everyone else's character, and just ruin it for everyone, and, you know, just troll role players. And so that's the reason it might seem unfair, you know, you have to earn our trust. Well, you do. It's in any game, you really do. Like, there's a measure of trust between players and GMs. Like, I'm trusting you, you know, to be honest with me and clear with me about what you want, and you're trusting me to not run an unfair or ridiculous story, you know, which is you know, what some GMs do. But, you know, it is what it is. I just don't understand why people why some people, anyway, not everyone cares, but certain people get super offended when you tell them they have to play an underpowered character first, so you can see what the roleplay style is like, you know, and see that they're not going to be, like, you know, murdering NPCs or fellow players right off the bat, and then I have to go and kick them and delete all their posts, you know, and then that's just a waste of my time, you know. So I don't know. I don't know why people don't understand that when you join a game, you've got to work your way up. You know, you've got to prove that you're a good role player. Once you prove you're a good role player and you know how to write, you know how to carry your character, you know how to not auto other people's characters or, you know, force things on the NPCs. You know, it probably is. I mean, I blame anime for a lot of things, but the isekai, is a huge... That genre just exploded, and unfortunately, every one of those shows that I've found, like, normally the characters are totally overpowered. The characters are reincarnated in the new world, and they're just completely overpowered. They just... it doesn't matter what they are or where they go. Everything that they can do just always overpowers whatever anything else is going on. And to me, I'm always, like, wondering, like, what's the conflict of this story? Like, this is almost starting to feel like One Punch Man, where it's like, well, why am I even watching this? Because there's really no point. We know One Punch Man wins. You know, there's absolutely no reason to watch an episode of One Punch Man. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. You've seen every last single One Punch Man. I've got nothing against One Punch Man. I'm just not a huge fan of it. It's very repetitive writing. And when people come to our games thinking they're going to get that type of writing, they're very shell-shocked, because we're actual psych horror writers, and we deal with realism quite a bit, and even in our fantasy games, there's always going to be some touch of realism. We're using, you know, bases of science for magic, you know. You know, we do the general Mage the Ascension thing, you know. Science is just the explanation of magic. It's not something separate. So even in that case, you know, there needs to be some measure of understanding of how chemistry works, how biology works. Just a little bit, you know, you only need a little bit to be able to navigate the setting. Obviously in the modern settings and the urban settings, that stuff matters more, you know. So, like in the World of Darkness games that I run, it's important to know real world shit, you know. I need to know medicine, I need to know law, you know, I need to know really dumb things that I would really rather not do. Yeah, you have to deal with the consequences, exactly. That's the thing. Yeah, yeah, people seem to think they can just do whatever they want and there's going to be no consequences. And I don't really get that, because even in certain video games, like, say, Skyrim, for example, which is a game that a lot of people played, if you kill townspeople, if you kill guards, you'll get arrested. you'll get arrested, and if you've killed too many people, they'll put you to death, or imprison you for life, or if you can't bribe your way out, then you're just going to be stuck in that jail cell for a period of time. So I don't understand how these people don't understand that there's consequences, because in certain video games there are consequences. Those consequences do occur. You know, the same consequences that happen in a role-playing game happen in those games. So I don't understand how these people get this disconnect, unless, again, anime is the only media they're absorbing. If anime is the only media they're absorbing, then the version of storytelling they're learning is very much different from the version of storytelling we deal with and employ. Because, you know, again, we do like World of Darkness, and World of Darkness has a lot of gritty realism in it. And, you know, I just don't know why people are shocked by that. You know, it's... I don't know why... Again, I don't know, the whole anime thing. And, you know, it's not like anime storytelling is awful, because there are some anime that have great storytelling. They follow all the same equations and outlines that, you know, any great novel does. You know, which is usually what I'm looking for. I'm looking for your story to be broken down into very recognizable pieces, because that's how stories are written. Okay, oh yeah. If you've seen people coming into D&D wanting to make characters based on solely popular anime, then yes. Yes, I would say that's probably the biggest contributor. Which, okay, to be fair, when my partner was playing Elden Ring, and he was like totally into the whole stupid Elden Ring thing, and he's watching all these videos, and he's watching, like, there's all these videos for people that are making builds, and they're like, I made Guts from Berserk and Elden Ring, and, you know, like, I made Aragorn from Lord of the Rings and Elden Ring. You know, it's like based on their fighting style and like the spells that they use. Like, they're saying, I'm this character, you know. And so even in a game like Elden Ring, people are trying to superimpose their anime main characters into it, you know. So I'm not even surprised that they would try to superimpose it on a D&D game, because that's totally... It just sounds like something people would do. And I would expect that to be mainly teenagers, but it's not. That's what really shocks me. It's a lot of, like, young adults in their 20s. And, you know, people I expect to have at least a little understanding of how things work. So when they try to pitch this character, they should know how ridiculous it sounds. I don't know. You know, sometimes we have to explain things, and it still doesn't take. Sometimes you feel like you're just talking to a brick wall, you know? Alright, God, I've touched on this so many times, and I don't know how to word it to get people to understand it, but there's a difference between role-playing, you know, the playing of a role, and role-playing, the rolling of dice. We've covered this many times. All you have to do is ask, and the GM can tell you if the game is roleplay heavy or combat heavy. To not do this, then become angry when you suddenly realize the game is more one or the other and not to your liking, is no one's fault but your own. That stuff is usually also covered in the game information, you know, so when you read the ad, you know, it should have given you an idea of exactly how story-heavy the plot was going to be. So you thinking that it was going to be nothing but dice rolls and combat is a little funny to me, you know? So, once again, people don't read things, they don't pay attention, and then they want to blame everyone else when nothing's the way they want it. I don't know. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, on that note, know what words mean. No, yeah, that would be a great way to do it. If they're calling it dice play instead, then that makes it absolutely obvious, because that's you know, heavy on the dice rolling. You know, that's what some people are looking for. It's not what I'm looking for, but it is what it is. Anyway, know what words mean? Freeform does not mean structured. If you label your game as freeform, players expect there to be a wild, open space for them to write their character in. Usually, we're never limited by a class or race sheet and have full creative freedom. Anything and everything you might need to play the game. Freeform, let's see, lost my place. We're never limited by classes or race sheets. Freeform literally means a freely structured scenario where players have the freedom to create their characters as they see fit. To put limitations on your game is to begin stepping away from the freeform genre. Now, if the only limitation is no overpowered characters, I consider that still pretty freeform, just an emphasis on in-game courtesy. Nothing at all wrong with that, and I don't consider that stepping on my creative freedom. There's still plenty of character variants I can play. I just can't be OP, That's fine with me. Totally fine with me. I don't consider that not freeform, I don't know why other people get offended when people have that emphasis on their game. No OP characters. Some people take that as a direct insult. And if they take it as a direct insult, they're probably power players, who wanted that OP character just to troll other people. So they just want to complain and, waste your time. And there's no point to listen to people who are just wasting your time, because it's just a waste of your time. I'm not getting paid to deal with these people, I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart. So, if I was getting paid, then yeah, they can complain all they want. That's how that works. If you advertise your game as a freeform sandbox, please do not limit us by magic system and races. That really, that's not freeform. Okay? If you're literally telling me something I can't do, literally, it's no longer freeform. I don't understand why people are putting limitations on things and then calling it freeform, calling it a sandbox. That's not a sandbox. All right? A structured game has limitations, has lists for you to choose from. Like D&D or even World of Darkness. You have races and lists and all this stuff that you choose all your crap from, Boom, you're done. But so many... Yeah, like Phantom is saying, there's so many advertisements that portray their game as a freeform sandbox, and then as soon as they get in there, or we get in there, there's it's a list, and it's a very short one. Like maybe 5 races, maybe a handful of classes, a very small handful of magic elements that you can choose from, and I'm like, well, this is very limiting. This is not a sandbox. This is not actually freeform. So, again, words have meaning. Bob from Bob's Burgers said that. Words have meaning. Nobody cares, though. Nobody seems to care. Let's see. Okay, I've got a... Yeah, exactly. Which, by the way... Okay, that's hilarious. Werewolf, vampire, mermaid, ghost, elf. Because Asmodee is watching, he watched like the first few episodes of, what the heck was it? Wednesday, the new Addams Family thing. And, okay, Nevermore, the school she's going to, guess what? It's a school of supernaturals, and it's like werewolves, vampires, mermaids, literally what you just listed. And I'm like, this is hilarious. So when you said that, and when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, I have to tell Phantom. Because this is where they're getting it. They're getting it from Wednesday. They're literally boxing themselves into this. It's like, wait, so there's supernatural creatures, but there's only 5 supernatural creatures? That doesn't make any sense. In the World of Darkness, there's a bazillion, and they all have their own books, and their own interesting lore. So, that's where that came from. That was just so funny. It was so funny because Asmodee is explaining it to me, and I'm like, wait, what? What races did you say were at the school? Because it was too funny. I was like, well, I just figured it out. Mystery solved. So there's going to be an explosion. Yeah, and it was a high school scenario. That's what I mean. There is now, I'm sure, just like when Harry Potter came out, there's going to be a huge explosion of supernatural high schools with very limited racial choices. That's just gonna be a thing now because people are so easily influenced by media. They're like, well, I want to roleplay that, but the sad part is they don't roleplay their characters, they roleplay the characters of the show. Which I don't understand. Why wouldn't you want to make your own character in the universe? I don't know, that's just me. I like making my own characters and having my own stuff. But yeah, it was funny. It was funny, and I thought it was worth mentioning because because I was like, oh my god, this really got it. This is where they got it. That is too much. Yep. So I've got a fun little discussion here about romance and sex and role playing. When is it too much? When is it okay? When is it simply cyber sex? Phantom and I have watched the role-playing hobby explode over the years, and as it did, it took a nosedive towards romance one-on-ones that really only ever wind up as erotic roleplay. So players are obsessed with getting their characters laid. They focus on tavern excursions over dire plot situations that really deserve their attention. They gossip about characters and who they might sleep with. Sometimes those major plot situations wind up bringing it all to a screeching halt because, maybe you should have been, spent all those hours you spent having sex, shoring up village armaments and defenses for the coming siege. I don't know. Maybe you should have devoted more time to research than attempting to get laid in a bar. I don't know. I feel like we can do these things in real life. Roleplay, especially tabletop role-playing games, are usually trying to tell some fantastic form of story with the characters involved. But if all the characters do is hunt for romance and sex, there's little we can do to help get the plot ball rolling. Or worse yet, if you do introduce some forced plot, watch your players ghost, since they can't just hook up whenever they want anymore. It's a puzzling situation, and me personally, I just think it's a bit out of control. But what do other people think, Is it too much? Should I be more open to people exploring highly sexual plot arcs? Yes, we can always fade to black, but if that's every scene, won't it get tiresome to other players at the table? Let me know what you think. This is really just a point of discussion, because I don't know. I don't know how to feel, because it's so prevalent. I feel like I'm on the losing side at this point, So, give me your thoughts. Alright, this looks like my last topic for the day. I get it, Phantom, I get it, I don't understand why people don't want to let your race, it's a normal D&D race, and yet people, it's like they don't even know it exists. Even my friends know it exists. I had one of my friends who played one. Sex is bad. Yeah. No, it usually is. So it's a deterrent, almost, So, no, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. AI Dungeon ain't bad when it comes to being a good role-playing partner. It it tries. It tries in so many ways that real players don't. It's really kind of sad. Oh well, oh well. It is what it is. Okay, here's another thing I know we've mentioned before, but in different words, and so now I'm just gonna put it out there just in plain speak so that people can maybe understand it. Stop race shaming. Stop class shaming. Just stop shaming. Okay? I know I talk a lot about fighters not being so good for freeform roleplays, but I also say they're perfectly suitable and excellent for 5e. I'm not shaming fighter players. I'm usually just reminding folks freeform operates quite a bit different, so you can't expect your class to translate quite the way you want. Same thing when I say I generally prefer combat-like games. I'm not shaming combat-heavy players or GMs. I'm simply reminding folks freeform narratives are quite a bit different, and to keep that in mind. That's simple. There's absolutely no need to flame someone for playing a particular race, class, or having a genre preference. Not everyone enjoys the same books or movies. Why in the world would they enjoy the same character types or playstyles? Calm down, folks. No one's saying your thing is less cool, just that they prefer other things. That's it. No subtext. This is something I see people get upset about a lot, because they assume that when someone says, and it's funny because they say it in a polite way, they say they generally don't care for something, then that other person jumps down their throat. Well, what do you mean by that? Do you think all people who play that game suck or something? And it's like, whoa, bro, that's not even what that guy said. The guy just said he didn't prefer that system. That was it. And he was super respectful about it. There's absolutely no reason to jump on someone just because they don't like what you like. That is the most childish fucking thing ever. Alright? That's like going back to kindergarten. And, I was like, do you like grape jelly? No, I don't. I like strawberry jelly. Well, you're gross. I only make friends with people who like grape jelly. This is little kid shit. It's stupid little kid shit. And I can't believe it's a thing. You know, really? You're gonna shame somebody over the character they play? But I shouldn't be surprised. Like, it's weird to me that there's all these people who are so against non-human characters, yet games like D&D have all of these supplemental chapters and books for all these non-human characters. You know, they have all of these books and all of these resources and all of these cool races that you can be playing, and yet people aren't playing them, and I feel like because other people are shaming them into not doing so. You know, like, you know, again, typical kid shit. Well, why would you play that race? That's stupid. You should play this race. It's so much better. You know, it's just like, why? Why are we still doing this? I thought we were adults now. And we could handle other people liking things that are different from us. You know, not everybody likes the same food. What the I just don't get this. I don't get this. I can only assume, again, this is always my theory, that people don't like non-human characters because they want to see characters they can see themselves having sex with. And so if you play a non-human character who's like an insectoid or some weird, you know, lizard person or, you know, what have you, they get freaked out because they're like, oh God, why would you play that character? Now I can't have sex with you. It's like, dude, did you think that that's all that person was there for? We are not all there to get our characters laid. We are literally here to plan an adventure and tell a story. And you're worried about what character I'm playing? Because you can't have sex with me? Are you kidding me right now? Alright, the advertisement. You are all level 20 gods fighting titans, but you can't have any beast-like races because I hate furries. Oh, God. I remember you telling me about that. And I just cracked the hell up, because this is like the signal I've been waiting for. I was like, alright, so according to people like this, every ancient culture is filled with nothing but furries. Because from Egyptians to Mesopotamia to Japan, the Aztecs, Cherokee, any Native American tribe, all the way down to what? The Babylonians and the Anunnaki, alright? Beast-like gods across the board. So, that is just hilarious to me. You just accused most of the world population of being a furry. Like, that is the most hilarious thing I've ever heard in my life. Holy crap. Like, people are always like, why are your creatures so weird? I'm like, well, I draw directly from mythology. Alright? Mythology. And, you know, gods are a part of mythology. And those gods are usually creatures of some sort, or have some sort of weird, crazy, non-human body. Some of them are like 30 feet tall and can fly. You know? Like, gods are crazy. They can be anything. And then you have gods who do weird things. You know, you have Zeus, who rapes people in the form of a swan or an eagle. And then you have Odin, who... This is my favorite story. You have Odin, who saw a magnificent stallion in one of his realms, and was so taken with it, he transformed himself into a female version of that stallion, had the stallion mate with him, gave birth to a daughter, a mare, turns back into a god, and raises her to be the horse that he rides on. So, yeah, that horse that Odin rides on, that's his daughter, that he gave birth to, as a female horse. An interdimensional horse, granted. It's like a six-legged, you know, horse that can fly. But still, you know, still. That's, so Odin's a furry, you know? That's what I'm hearing. Just stuff like that cracks me up. I don't know why you would willfully shut out so much folklore when it's a great inspiration for game content. Any folklore from any nation and any culture is just so rich with fun, interesting concepts. And sometimes it sounds really, you know, it's like the whole ancient aliens thing. It's like, you know, sometimes these things look and act like aliens, and it feels like they came here and left, and who knows if they'll be back. But it's fun. It's fun to research the lore. It's fun to research the mythology. It's fun to see how different cultures folklore lines up with other people's folklore, because I remember my friend, he told me this story, and I can't remember if it was Cherokee or Kumeyaay or what it was, some tribe story, and he's telling me this story, and he's telling me this story, and I immediately start grinning, and he continues telling the story, and I'm like, and I just have to like hold my tongue and let him finish telling the story. And then he tells the story, and actually I finished the story for him, and I'm like, and let me guess, he tells him that he can't turn around and look at her on the journey back, and if he does, she'll go back to the land of the dead. And he's like, how did you know? I was like, because this is basically the story of Orpheus, okay? This is the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. Literally Greek mythology. You literally told me a story I have already heard, just using different characters, you know? So it's really funny how these cultures that really probably never really interacted much, if at all, how their mythology crossover was so similar sometimes. It's just super interesting. No, yeah, that's exactly. It is as bad as the person who says, I don't allow any science in my game because I'm a humanities major. Okay, I don't even know how that makes sense. Okay, so because your major isn't science related, that means you don't need to learn any science ever? Is that what I'm hearing? It has absolutely nothing to do with your life? I mean, we're all sort of subject to forces that science explains, so why you wouldn't want to be knowledgeable on that subject, why you would want to bar it from your game, and like, as a humanities major, it almost doesn't even make sense to me. Now, if they'd said a philosophy major, if they'd said they were a philosophy major, I'd be like, alright. Exactly. No, that's exactly what I think when they say they don't want science in their game. I'm like, yeah, so fire doesn't burn, people don't breathe, there's no time passage, you know, yeah, gravity doesn't exist, it's all that shit, you know, and it's like, alright. But like I said, if they said philosophy major, what I can assume they would be trying to do is, you know how philosophers are, they like to debate. They like to debate about what is and what isn't, you know? And so I could see that, like, I'm like, okay, so this guy just wants to theorize, you know? But a humanities major, it's like, who cares? Learn science, moron! Quit being stupid! Like, you need to at least know the basic shit, okay? You know, you need to know that fire burns. You need to know that gravity holds you on the planet, you know? You need to know that you breathe oxygen, not water, you know? These are important things that you know, you need to blink, otherwise your eyes will dry out, you know? This is all important shit, and it's all science related, you know? So, to not want to have science in your game at all is just, if you want to run a cartoon game, go run a cartoon game. That's great. No logic, you know? Fine. But if you're trying to run a serious game with a serious plotline and serious characters, and you're going to say you don't allow science in your game, I don't even know what we're doing unless we're in some horror version of Wonderland, you know, where everything's upside down and nothing makes sense. You know, that's really the only time I allow science to not make sense, is in places like Wonderland, where the logic is turned upside down, you know? It's, you know, bent on the whim of some creature or god or, you know, a plane that exists in and of itself, you know? Then yes, you know, that's when your science doesn't need to apply as much, you know? Fire might not burn in that realm. Who freaking knows? Water might burn, you know? That's totally a Wonderland thing, you know? So yeah, you know, if you're gonna package your game as a serious game and then say shit like that, I just get a little concerned. I just don't even know what you want, you know, as a GM. What are you looking for? And I'm sure they didn't explain it, you know, I'm sure they didn't give you enough information in the game info to, like, actually tell you what was going on. I'm sure you had to go, like, ask them or something. I certainly wouldn't in that instance. But, you know, again, just ridiculous declarations. I love it when people make ridiculous declarations and just expect everyone to go along with it. I can only assume that there's a huge population of people that just don't want to know how things work. It's like they don't want to know. It's like they feel like it's going to fill up their brain with useless information. No, your brain keeps going, okay? I've been learning for over 20 years of my life, and I'm not out of brain space yet. And I write a lot of stories. I mean, a lot. I'm not. There's plenty of space in there. I keep thinking I'm gonna run out, but I don't. As long as I read it, it'll stay in there. If I hear it, I won't remember it. I have bad audio memory. That's not good at all, unless it's a song, because then it rhymes. It's poetry, and I remember that a whole lot easier. But yeah, I don't know. You can keep learning. You don't have to stop learning. You don't have to give up on it. It's better, the more that you know, the more you're going to be able to help yourself in real life. Okay, that's what I don't understand. People act like learning these things that you learn in role-playing, they don't realize that they can apply to real life. It's like, dude, you're supposed to be learning lessons here. Okay, that's why you're in a storytelling experience, all right? So that you can learn lessons and you can, better yourself. And, because sometimes playing a really petty and childish character makes you realize, maybe how petty and childish you are. I've definitely played some characters where I thought I didn't have anything in common with the character, and then as I played the game, or as I write the story, I find out we're a little more similar than I think. Because we all have flaws. We all have flaws, and playing flawed characters really helps to realize that. If you can play asshole characters and everyone at the table hates you and you never realize why everyone at the table hates you, I can't help you. You can't learn. You're one of those dogs that just is constantly doesn't know how to do the trick, no matter how many times he's shown. Sometimes even negative reinforcement doesn't fix the problem. Sometimes the creature just doesn't learn. But, your brain has plenty of space. Keep learning. Keep learning. Don't shirk science. Like I said, if you want to run an illogical game, run an illogical game. But don't just make demands for ridiculous reasons, then give no context as to why. You have to tell me why you don't want that thing to exist. Like, why does it affect the way that your world functions? That's something that, the players need to know. Because if it operates on logic all its own, we need to know that. And if you don't tell your players that, then you're just lording your power over them. That's all you're doing. You're just stroking your own ego by forcing them to play in a game where they don't know what the rules are. And you might even keep changing them based on your whim, or, just because you don't want to lose. It's like, I don't get the GMs who are like, I can't lose, my players have to all die every time. Dude, I don't know why people even play in your games. Because that would piss me off in a heartbeat. I don't know. It's a crazy world out there. People are crazy. I like to think people can still think, but there's a lot of people out there that are confused about things that are their own fault. And I just don't know what to do with them. I don't know what to do with those people, because those are the people that can't learn lessons. I don't know why everyone hates me and my characters, really? You don't know why? You can't look in the mirror? Maybe you should. Well, anyway, that's pretty much all my topics for the day. That was a pretty good discussion. I think I'm done. I've been talking for a while. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking a look. Leave us comments, and we can talk about things that you guys want to talk about, if you guys have questions. If anybody ever tunes in. We're just here having fun most of the days. All right. I'll see you, Phantom. Thanks for showing up.